Welcome in, Greg Ruff, along with Danny Leavy, the men's soccer coach here at Trevecca. And you guys have already technically played a match this season in what has been um, a bizarre 12 months. And I think it was 462 days between matches.
Yeah, 462 days since our last game.
Missed an complete fall season.
Yeah.
That is just amazing. But now you're playing. You have like a month between your first match and the start of the conference season. Just talk about how you got your guys through the spring, because I think we have to throw this ingredient in there. A lot of your guys are international players, so they had to decide whether to go home, how to continue going to college if they did, stay eligible, come back, and then all the mental and emotional things that they had to go through.
Yeah, it was a huge challenge for sure, getting everybody through the fall with no season and keeping them motivated to train and everything. And then, the whole international component. We were really fortunate in that we had all but three return during the fall. And we had two of the three, they continued to go to school online and everything. There was one that wasn't able to, but he's back in school now. And, just with all of the waivers and how gracious the NCAA is being through a lot of this, we're able to keep them active and everything like that. So that was a huge challenge. Yeah, trying to get everybody back onto campus, even our regular students, trying to get them onto campus, get them trained in the new environment that they were going to have to exist in every day. So, yeah, it took a huge effort to get everything going back in August and early September.
Different sports have done it different ways, and some of that's NCAA, and some of it's the coaches and administrators deciding it. Some schools have shut down athletics. Some sports were canceled, like yours, fairly early and moved to the spring.
Yeah.
Some have tried to play. Basketball in particular has tried to play with some success and some struggles, really for just about everybody. Which do you think, in your opinion, has been better, knowing immediately or pretty early on that you weren't going to play in the fall and move to the spring, or would you have rather tried to muddle through it like maybe college football did?
Yeah, I think it was kind of nice to get the early decision because it was just a definitive answer. So I think that's what's caused a lot of the stress with the student athletes is kind of that like limbo, like are we going to go or are we not going to go, and
Hmm.
just that bouncing back and forth emotionally. So I think having the decision, it was made, it was done, it was over, and then we could kind of move on and prepare for the spring. And what was nice about getting moved to the spring is I could watch basketball and we could watch to see what works, what doesn't work. So it put us in a really good position to be able to learn and adjust. And I mean, up until this winter storm that just hit us this week, I mean, we were on 5 weeks where we were training, 5 days a week. We played a match. So, we were on a really good roll up until, the winter storm came and kind of slowed things down. And it's all right too. Like, because the guys, like, we were starting to see some soft tissue injuries and everything, and I think that's just I think we're going to see a lot of it this spring because they were out of competition for so long, and training on your own, it's just not the same. So in some ways I'm kind of thankful for this little break that it gave us, and it'll break open soon and we'll be back to training again.
That's a component that maybe people don't think about. Yes, they are young, right? They are
Yeah.
much younger than you and I, but
Yeah.
but they are young, but they still can take a it can still can take a toll to be inactive for a long time. And the competition level, I mean, there's practice level when you're training as a team together, and then there's the gameplay is up another level. No matter how you do it, that game level is intensified for everybody. And so you have to ramp up from doing nothing, self-training, training as a team, and then launching into the season. And to have not had that for a year, for your sport in particular, is important because you guys run the entire match.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. I noticed that when we played that game last week, like the guys, I mean, it took them 3, 4 days for their legs to recover because they just hadn't put, 90 minutes in like that in a game setting. And yeah, their legs were just heavy for like a few days, whereas normally they bounce back pretty quick, in the season because it's not unusual to play, on a Thursday and then recover on a Friday and play on a Saturday. And they usually can do that really well. But it would be tough for them to do it right now. I mean, luckily, we don't get into that rhythm until the middle of March, so we still have plenty of time to build up their base fitness and everything. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get back into it. And we had other guys that was the first time they played since 2018 because they had injuries in preseason of 2019,
Mhm.
and they didn't play that season. So then you've got guys that are coming back from even longer. And yeah, that takes a little while to get the juices flowing again, for sure.
Uh, this brings up the question because it's talked in soccer circles and collegiate soccer circles about potentially splitting the season from half in the fall, half in the spring,
Yeah.
where you guys can only play one match a week, similar to what college football does, the American college football. Talk about that from your perspective. What do you think? I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer, but what are the benefits and which side would you lean on?
I would definitely lean on the split season side for academically, it would make it a lot easier, because you're not traveling as much. And then also the injury component. Like, I think you would see the injury rate go way down because they would have a much longer window to recover and everything. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of it.
Okay. Talk a little bit about your team now. Let's prepare for the team and for
Yeah,
the season. We've already talked a little bit. You've already played one, so you get the benefit of seeing that. But I'm not sure that you would have seen everything you need to see in just one match. But it was against a really good opponent
yeah.
in Covenant. You got the win. You guys rallied to win. But talk about the three segments of your team in particular, and you know, what do you like about them? What do you want to see them improve on early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is probably the deepest team that we've ever had in my 12 years here. So we've got experience, we've got some good young players that have come in, and just the whole waiver thing has made it where I'm going to have a lot more older players. I mean, next year
Hmm.
we're looking at having as many as 8 graduate students next year. I mean, that's a lot of age to have in your team. So I mean, we're going to have several guys that are 22, 23, 24 years old because of this whole situation. So we're going to have a lot of maturity within the group. We've got guys that have been in the program for multiple seasons together. That really helps a lot. So, I'm really encouraged. I mean, this is the deepest and most versatile group that we've ever had during our time. So, I'm just excited to see him play. Hopefully, I can consistently get our best and strongest group out there. Whether that's related to injuries or COVID quarantines or whatever it might be. I mean, if we can consistently put our best players out there, we really have a realistic chance of challenging on the top half of the conference this year.
Talk about your forwards in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're a bit spoiled this year because we've got so many different types of forwards. So, I mean, we've got Mikey Jones is still with us, so that gives us a lot
Hmm.
of pace and versatility. And then we've got new guys coming in that have transferred in, like Pablo Martin he transferred in from Belmont. And then we've got new guys. We've got Nash, Rust. I mean, it's all over the place. We've got Michael Marty. We've got Bryce, Wahi that can come in. I mean, there's just so many different guys. Like, sometimes we struggle to figure out how we're going to get them all on the field at the same time because they're just coming from all over the place. And I mean, Yeard played his first game for Trevecca the other day and scored both goals.
Yeah.
So it's really encouraging.
That's the good and the bad of having a
Yeah,
deeper team. You got to figure out how to keep everybody
yeah,
happy, and it seems like maybe at least watching your team, it seems like they are really gelling in that way. Midfielders, talk a little bit about midfielders, and then wrap up with defenders and got to talk about one guy. I know you don't want coaches never want to talk about one guy, but you got to talk about the guy in the goal,
yeah.
at least at Covenant a little bit, give him a little bit of love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and midfield's another situation where we've got guys that can play multiple positions within the midfield. Whether it's Killian Farmer or Ivan Bravo. Some of our more established players, and we've got Jonas Grossman that each year he's been with us, he just keeps getting better and better. So I mean, there's so much versatility in the middle of the field. We transferred in Donovan Dixon from Cumberland, and he's a good versatile player as well. And even some of the guys that play in the back line, we can move them up. Like Zach Polk, he has the ability to play, at center back or at a defensive center mid. And then our back line, I mean, the back line is going to be pretty competitive this year because we've got multiple guys competing for each spot, whether that's on the left or the right. So we've got Brady Briley and Tyler Roy that are good left footers, and we've got Eli Zeisloff, that's a new freshman in January that has a good left foot. And then we've got good experience with Shane O'Connell and Tig and Zach at the center back. And then we've even got another young freshman that surprised us in the Covenant, Joey Hauser. We brought him up from the reserve team, and he played fantastic. He did great. He just jumped right in there, wasn't overwhelmed by the environment at all. So if they're healthy, there's competition all over the place, which is fantastic. And then I think one of the biggest benefits that you alluded to is returning Tyler Delgado, who's arguably one of the best goalkeepers to play at Trevecca, during my time. So to have somebody of that experience in there, and especially watching the way he played in the Covenant, I mean, a huge part of us winning that game is because of Tyler. Especially 3 of the saves that he pulled off were like game-saving saves. So it's just great. I mean, there's just experience and there's just really good character all over the field right now.
All right. Well, you have your wish. You finally have a season. You finally get to coach,
Yeah.
and I want to tell you from my perspective, I'm excited as well because it's nice to be able to see games going on, and that was a great win. I watched the entire match at Covenant, and guys looked really good. And I know you didn't have everybody available for that, so that's very encouraging too.
Yeah, really encouraging. And they did so well too. I mean, to go that long, and and especially with all the different protocols that we're doing, because the university is doing a great job at protecting the student athletes and providing a safe environment for them to be in. One of the challenges, though, is group training is not as available as it used to be. They're in they're in their training pods and everything. And I was telling the coach at Covenant, I was watching them, and the warm up was literally the first time the team had ever been together, like period, for the year was the warm up for the game. So it was great to see them kind of figure it out and improve as the game, because the first half was a little rough, which you would expect, but then the second half, I mean, they did some really good stuff in the second half, and I was impressed. That's not easy to do, to get on a field with a group of players that have never played with each other and come back on a team that's really hard to beat. Covenant's always so hard to beat. And to do that on the road for the first time in 462 days that's a really encouraging sign.
It really was. It was enjoyable, and I thought both teams played really. It was a really great soccer match. So it's fun to watch. Well, Danny, good luck. Good luck with this season. I'm sure we'll check in with you as we go along, and we'll see you out at the pitch for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.